Hello, I am Justin Griggs. I am the co-founder, co-owner, and CEO of Centerfire Distillery. This is
My name is Cameron Groh. I am co-owner as well of Centerfire, which was founded back in February of this year, 2019. What we do here is we make corn whiskey, Idaho bourbon, and 3 different flavors of Idaho moonshine.
so Cameron here. I do a lot of administrative work. Cameron does the hands-on. He gets dirty. He does all R&D.
A lot of taste testing.
I do a lot of taste testing when he's not here. But yeah, I'll let Cameron kind of show you how we do the process, how we make our whiskeys, our moonshines.
Absolutely.
It's a lot of fun and a cool job.
Absolutely. So we're in a pretty small facility at the moment. So we have a small little break room, so to speak. Break room. Over here is kind of our barrel storage for the moment. We have larger 30-gallon barrels which hold all of our bourbon, and in the smaller barrels behind it, we have all of the corn whiskey. Right now, these barrels are about 2 years old, 2 years age, so they are at that point where we can actually start to bottle them and prepare them for smaller barrels are a little more expensive, but they kind of give startups a way to age their product a lot quicker. So the smaller barrel can age it a little bit quicker than you could in a larger. So that's why we have such a kind of variety here. Bourbon obviously has got to be in these barrels. We have bourbon in these barrels, which for them to be classified as bourbon, they've got to be a new oak barrel. They got to be bottled and distilled at a certain proof, and it's got to be made in the United States. For bourbon, the barrels can only be used one time. After that, we can then throw our whiskey, if we decide to do rum, whatever we want to do, we can now use those again for another type of spirit. Whereas whiskey, they can be used 2, 3, 4 times.
Depending on the barrel.
Yeah.
Bourbon also has to be 51% corn. That is one of the requirements to be a bourbon.
Here, it's kind of just not super nice to look at, but we have some old wine we picked up from a gentleman. So we're kind of messing around with that, stripping it, getting the good alcohols out of it, try to make a usable product. Not quite sure what we're going to do there, but that's more or less a fun little project that we're kind of working on. So we come on back. So we have a couple big mixing tanks, so to speak. So when this whiskey and the bourbon is ready to be bottled, we'll then siphon it, filter it into here, or then we can then cut it to the proper proof and ABV. So we'll use these here probably in the next week or so when we're ready to drain these.
You can also use these for fermenters if you wanted to. They're closed-topped, airtight. Fermenting is obviously a big part of how we manufacture bourbon and whiskey. But we do not. We use these as mixing tanks. So we flush in, mix it, dilute it down, and then bottle.
Yep, absolutely. And then back behind that is our reverse osmosis system, so we get clean, purified water. Don't have to mess around with city water or buying totes of it. So it's a nice way to have a nice fluid system here, so we're not bringing too many things outside. So right now we're kind of in a startup phase for the business. So we're working on getting in the state of Idaho to sell to them in all their liquor stores. So right now we run the still very, very seldom. We're more or less focused on kind of getting the moonshine. Moonshine is a neutral grain spirit, which we can produce a lot quicker. Whiskey and bourbon, once these are then mixed into here, then we'll start working to refill those as well. So that'll happen within the next 2-3 weeks where we're actually running and refilling those. So right now we're kind of in that beginning to start bottling phase right now. So we purchased the majority of this stuff back in February of this year, 2019. Dissolved the company that we purchased, started up Centerfire basically from the ground up, which means permitting on the state and the federal level, which takes quite some time. You know, working with getting bottles and formulas, labels approved. There's been a lot of just formalities in terms of paperwork, getting everything set in place. So now we're finally to the point where we can approach the state of Idaho with our products to where we can negotiate getting them on shelves and start selling them that way. So we're probably in the last month before we're actually selling in stores. So we're trying to get everything ramped up for that and get ready. So here we kind of have our production. So we have a small little mash kettle where we basically will take the corn, whatever materials we're gonna mash and create a wash with, we'll mash it there. That then goes into barrels and or a fermenter like these tanks where we'll let it ferment for the proper amount of time. And then from the tanks, we'll then dump it straight into the stills. And just have some fun running those for a week straight pretty much. Stripping all the alcohol out of it, just getting, once it comes out of the still, we can either have the choice if we want to create the moonshine with that spirit, or if we want to throw it into a barrel and create a whiskey or a bourbon, depending on the mash bill.
So moonshine is, like you said, neutral grain spirit. It's just a white whiskey. So it's an unaged whiskey. So we can take it directly from a still, dilute it down, add flavor to it if we want to, or keep it neutral raw, just in the white. And then bottle it if we want to and sell it. We do, what flavors do we have?
So we have 3 different flavors of moonshine. We have a strawberry, a huckleberry, and a mango. And then maybe eventually we might just do a pure, just a straight moonshine, no flavor, but that's kind of down the road. So right now we have the 3 flavors, a couple different sizes. Really excited or thinking about going into the brewing side of things. Quickly realized it was very saturated. We were trying to get into it as the brew craze kind of happened. Breweries popping up all over town. So we kind of opened up our eyes and tried to go a little bit broader and thought about, what about distilling? We like whiskey, we like to drink, so why not give that a go? So that's kind of, but yeah, it really is. We kind of just decided we don't have any background or history into it. We kind of just dove head first into it. And
we've had people help us along the way. I mean, we have people that are in this industry who are all very helpful in the valley that have helped us run the machines, train us on the machines, how to bottle, all that good stuff. So, it's been a learning curve. It's been fun.
Yeah.
I mean, Cameron gets
Well,
credit for that.
it's such a tight community. Everyone is so helpful. Just expressing knowledge and giving tips and tricks of how to start and how to get it going. So it's been a great experience thus far. Very stressful, but it's very, very much worth it.
As long as we don't drink all of our products.
Have nothing to say.
Yeah.
So
And
we got all these are some big pallet of empty bottles and cases. We'll start pulling from those when we're ready. I got it right now. We got a couple more. So basically, we're doing one flavor right now, and then we got huckleberry in there. So we'll put huckleberry, get it all cut to the proper ABV, and then we'll then filter it with a charcoal filtered system. The charcoal filter is nice. It basically will get rid of any impurities in the spirit, essential oils, fatty acids, proteins, that sort of stuff, and it makes it from a hazy type look to crystal clear. So we run it through the filter, and we have 2 more of these, the larger receptacle, and then that goes in here. From here, we're in the bottle, hooked up to our single spout bottle filler at the moment. We do have an 8-head filler coming this Saturday morning. So it's going to change the game. It's going to throw another wrench in the thing. So we'll get rid of this soon. Have an 8-spout filler, and we kind of just go down the line. Most things are put away at the moment. Coming down the line, stereo of course is important. Where we cork them, thermoseal them, and then label them, and then back off and out. So we're still trying to dial this in, but that's pretty much essential. We got to start local in Idaho. It makes sense to start here, get our feet wet, but we want Centerfire to be, we want to be a global brand. We don't want to be a local niche, like some of these craft breweries. We want this brand to go beyond the state of Idaho. We want it to be if you're in Georgia, you can pick up a bottle at any liquor store, kind of thing. So we're looking big picture, but we're right here in Idaho, so might as well
We'll cater to the state.
100%. So we love homegrown. All the corn comes from Idaho, locally sourced. Same with the sugar. The water is water from here as well, just put through the RO system. So we love Idaho, and it's Nampa. So the city of Nampa that we're in has been so generous and so welcoming, and they've been so awesome to work with, and so we're happy to be here. It's a great, we're always looking to expand. We like coming up with creative new ideas and new things. We'll have our staple products, the bourbon and whiskey, which are going to be our staple, what we want to be known for. It's the dark liquor. And then the moonshine, the liqueurs, and who knows, maybe vodkas or something down the road, kind of those specialty drinks. This is technically our second facility. We purchased it out of a smaller spot in Boise, 800 square feet, so we're now almost triple the size.
We're out of room.
Out of room already, so we'll probably be looking to expand in the next year, to be honest. So, but this is home.
Yeah.
So where the magic happens.
So Centerfiredistillery.com is our website. We're on social media, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, or not YouTube yet, Twitter. That's the best way to get a hold of us through there. Somebody's on that all the time. We can allow people to come in and taste stuff. It's one-off stuff. Don't have business hours yet. But by the end of the year, products will be in local liquor stores in the state of Idaho. And by that time, we'll be operational here. at the
That's
taste
the ultimate goal.
Are they-
There's a lot of hurdles to jump through, formalities with the state level, urban weight kind of thing. So once we're listed, we're going to turn this into a contract distillery. So the general public can come in and purchase a bottle or a hat or a shirt or whatever they want to do. So yeah, we're almost there.
Yeah.